So we got orcs and elves and fairies and humans, and it's... How the fuck did this shit happen? What's going on, everybody? It's the Granddad Woolly, and you are here again for another edition of Woolly Reviews Film Data Netflix Pick. We got a movie review today. We're gonna talk about the brand new movie that just fucking dropped. It's been getting a lot of attention lately. Some good, some bad. But everybody's been talking about the shit, and it's a movie I've been wanting to check out, and I finally got a chance to check out and talk about it. And it's just some shit it's all over the place, y'all. So we just gonna these motherfuckers are here for the first time. They dropped some weird new shit. We gonna talk about it. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Talking about the new movie, Bright. Now, Bright is a movie starring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, and it is set in Los Angeles at some time period. I don't fucking know when or if it's an alternate universe, but apparently humans and orcs and elves and even fairies are coexisting or living in the same world, and that shit's not good. It's bad. How did this happen though? Like, they don't... Whatever. But it's a movie that everybody's been talking about lately, and I had to get my take on it. And it stars Will Smith, and Will Smith usually does a good job in his movies. I mean, I've been rocking with him since The Fresh Prince, so I gotta see what he's got going with this shit. So now let's see if Bright is a movie that shines bright with a good light of promise, or if it's some shit that we need to just, dim it down, or shut it off, or cut it off, and just sit in the darkness, because we don't need to know nothing about this shit because it's fucking whack. Let's talk about the shit. So the basic setup of the movie is this. It centers around Will Smith's character, who goes by the name of Officer Ward, and he's got a partner played by Joel Edgerton, who is Officer Jacoby, who is also the very first orc who was on the LAPD. I mean, it's a big deal, but not everybody's happy about that. Actually, nobody's fucking happy about that but Jacoby himself. Like, this is how the world works, y'all, in this movie. So you got orcs who are like at the bottom. Like, nobody likes orcs, really. Even some orcs don't even like orcs. And then you got like the humans, we like in the middle. Like, nobody like fucks with us, but like we a little bit better than orcs. And then you got like the elves, and the elves are like the top of the class. They got all the money, they the powerful ones, they run shit. And then you got fairies who are like insects apparently because they just flying around, nobody likes the shit. But basically it's elves, humans, orcs. And that's how it works. And there's a lot of racism and classism and a lot of just like hatred towards one another. Like, humans don't fucking like orcs at all. They talk shit all the time. And orcs don't like humans. And then if the orc isn't blooded, then the orc don't like the other orc. And the elves are just rich as fuck. They don't give a fuck because, they live in life. They live in life like it's golden. They just living in their own little world, and they're making money off orcs and humans anyway. So they don't give a fuck. It's just whatever with them. And that's how shit goes down. Now, with the main characters, Ward and Jacoby, who are actually partners, like, Jacoby's cool with it. He's happy just to be on the team. But Ward, not so much. He don't want to be partnered up with some orc nigga named Jacoby, and he just wants somebody else that's not an orc. But I mean, shit happens, and that's what you got to deal with. So they're on the force, they're on the beat, doing what they got to do, and they're going to get lunch. Jacoby's getting burritos for them, and while that happens, Ward ends up getting shot by another orc with a 12 gauge, and he survives, but he's salty about this shit, because he's like, yo, I got this fucking orc on the team. He's supposed to be helping me out. He out here getting fucking beef and bean burritos while this other orc fucking shoots me and almost kills my ass. Like, what the fuck, nigga? You just supposed to have my back. You're supposed to be my partner. What kind of shit is that? And the trust that they really didn't have in the first place is even more fucked up. And also what's fucked up is that the motherfucker who shot Ward actually got away. Like, Jacoby chased after him, but he ended up getting away. And like, now Ward's even more pissed off because not only did the motherfucker shoot him, he got away, and now they're thinking, oh, because this motherfucker's an orc, he's like not really down for the LAPD. He's siding with his people, the orcs, and that just brings more tension and just more hatred and racism into the mix with this shit that's going on. And once Ward heals up from his injuries and has to go back to work, he still has to partner up with Jacoby, who he really doesn't fuck with because of what's happening. And that's pretty much where the movie sets up. And from there, they end up getting into some shit. They end up coming across this elf girl named Tika, who is in possession of a magic wand, in which magic wands in this world are super powerful because they can grant any wish, but they can also kill motherfuckers, and they can pretty much make anybody who holds the wand or has the wand's possession pretty much invincible, indestructible. So wands are some pretty fucking crazy shit to have in this world. And if you got one, you pretty much set for fucking life. So now Tika is in possession of this wand, which really isn't even her wand. It's owned by another fucking elf by the name of, I think her name is Lila, and she's like all powerful. She's a bad motherfucker. You don't want to fuck with her. And she's trying to get possession of the wand to set up for the Dark Lord to come back and take over the entire world with magic and crazy shit. Look, you see how I'm explaining this, y'all? This shit doesn't make any fucking sense how I'm explaining it. It don't even make sense to me, but it does when you watch the movie, I guess, but not fucking really. And that's pretty much what the movie is about. It's about these two motherfuckers, a human and an orc, taking on an all-powerful elf who's trying to take over the world with dark magic. Yeah. In LA. And that brings me to this question. Is the movie good? And honestly, y'all, not really. The movie really isn't that good. It's not terrible. I mean, I've heard people say this movie is garbage and whack. I don't think it's like garbage. I've seen a lot worse movies than this. But at the same time, this movie really ain't good. And it's probably one of the worst Will Smith movies I've ever seen. I can clearly name 10 Will Smith movies off the top of my head that are way better than this shit. Now let's start off with what the positives of this movie are, which aren't many, but there are some. The first thing is, like, I can watch the shit. Like, I can, like, literally sit here and watch the shit, and I didn't want to turn it off, like, immediately. Like, it was no point when I was watching shit, like, let me set this shit off because it's fucking pissing me off. I didn't get that with this movie, which is good. I mean, I was able to sit through the whole time and watch the movie. Also, I think that, you know, the fact that they got all these different species or, like, mythical creatures coexisting in the entire world at the same time, it's kind of different and unique, and it's kind of cool. Even though it's at the same time very weird and completely unexplained of how this shit really happened. Like, the fact that it's like that is kind of cool, but it's really not, like, that unique when you think about the perspective that they put on these characters and why these characters are existing and what causes, you know, the tension about them being there at the same time. So those things really are watered down after you realize, like, they're coexisting, but in a very negative and still a very stereotypical way that's going on right now with racism and classism, which happens already in this world now. It's just they've diverted it from people with different skin colors or levels of, you know, success or money to people who are just different species. And that's pretty much the same shit, but they just put an orc and an elf in the mix instead of just staying humans. And the only other real positive thing about the movie I have to say is the fact that, like, you got the dynamic between Ward and Jacoby, where Ward really doesn't like Jacoby at all, and Jacoby's just trying to get Ward to like him and just, you know, accept him for who he is as being a cop and just see that he's a good dude down at heart. Even though he's an orc, he's just a good dude who wants to just be a cop. And eventually, as the movie goes along with certain actions and events that happen, Ward starts to kind of, like, you know, look out for Jacoby, and they become really partners. They don't, I think, become friends, but they do become respectable partners in this LAPD shit, and it really does kind of play out really well. For the most part, there are some iffy parts here and there, but for the most part, it plays out well. And those are the only real positives I have to say about the movies. Now, when it comes to the negatives, y'all, the first thing I want to talk about is the plot itself. Like, the shit really don't make sense to me. Like, first of all, they didn't really properly explain how this happened, like how all these species and creatures ended up coexisting or somewhat coexisting in the same world or universe or wherever the fuck this is. I mean, they only hint to say it's like 2,000 years ago, the orcs made the wrong choice, or they chose the dark side and now they're paying for it now or some shit, but they didn't say, like, how this shit happened or why this tension is really the way it is, other than the fact that we don't like orcs, orcs don't like us, elves don't like nobody, but they just up at the top and they're making money off everybody. And it's just something that I don't think was explained very well or really just handled very well, because it's just like, why is this happening, or how did this happen, other than you tell me 2 times in the movie that they chose the wrong side. What side? What fucking was so bad about them choosing that side? They didn't say why that was so bad, but they're paying for it 2,000 years later. Y'all holding a mad grudge, so it had to be some crazy fucked up shit. And also the way the story plays out is just very, very predictable. I mean, you got your standard cop movie. You got 2 cops who really probably just don't really fuck with each other. Some shit happens that brings them a little bit closer together. You throw in some motherfucking random character who they have to end up protecting or saving or helping, which is a key element to the story, and then it comes into this point where they gotta, like, fight somebody who's like the evil motherfucker or the antagonist, and they end up, like, succeeding. It's pretty much cut and dry. You've seen this before. They just have different types of fucking characters and motherfuckers in here playing those roles. And then you got the ending of the movie, which is mad predictable as well. It's like, okay, you kind of see what's going on as the movie plays out, and then it comes into the point where they gotta have the big confrontation with Liza or Lila or whatever the fuck her name was, and, you know, they gotta fight it out, and you know how it plays out. The good guys fucking win, and then there's a moment right there where, like, the reason why the movie's called Bright is because if you are able to hold a magic wand, you're considered a Bright. You're considered like a special being who can, you know, hold a magic wand, because if you're not a Bright and you hold a wand, you fucking die on sight, like you explode and shit. So there's a moment where we find out one of the characters is actually a Bright you know, I'm not gonna tell you which one, but they actually end up being a Bright, and I guess that ends up, you know, being the key element to overcome Lila and just stop her at the end of the day, which is like, okay, it's cool, I guess, but it's just mad fucking predictable. And it's just something that's like, after you watch the movie, you're like, okay, I get it, I guess I get it, I see what's happening. But then after all that, like, nothing really changes. Like, yeah, they saved the day, but nothing changes in the world. Like, everything is still gonna go back to business as usual. Orcs are gonna hate motherfucking humans, and humans are gonna hate orcs, and elves are gonna still be at the top of the totem pole. Nothing's gonna change. All that changed was that the world is not gonna be taken over by this one bad elf that was gonna bring in the Dark Lord to overshadow everything and fuck everything up. That's it. Other than that, there was really no redeeming qualities or factors with this movie at all. So my final verdict, I'm not saying Bright is a movie that's just meh overall. I mean, you get a decent performance from Will Smith, nothing great or amazing. Joel Edgerton at the same time, I mean, their dynamic is okay. The story itself is very unique, but very predictable. And after you get through all the fairies and elves and shit and all that aspect of it, it's nothing you've never seen before. The ending is not really that great, but I could watch the shit. I think, you know, if you want to check it out just out of curiosity, go for it. I don't think you're gonna like want to shut it off. You might, some people might want to shut this shit off because it's just really out there and weird. I kind of like weird out there shit, so I was able to get through the whole movie, no problem. But after processing everything, it's nothing that's like amazing whatsoever, and it's just a movie that's just like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. So all I gotta say is that for me, Bright is not Granddad approved, but because I could watch it and I did find a little bit of redeeming factors in it, I will give it a just barely Granddad recommended. So go check it out. It's on Netflix right now. If you got a Netflix account or you got somebody's password, check it out. Give it a watch if you enjoy Will Smith. But I got nothing more to say. Bright, it's just barely Granddad recommended. So go check it out if you want to. If not, don't, because you really ain't missing much at all. Flip it. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you give me a thumbs up and drop a comment. Tell me what you think of Bright if you've seen it. If you have not seen it, like I said, it's a movie that's just very all over the place. It's not really that great. It's got some good qualities about it, but way more bad qualities about it. And it's just something that I'm not going to watch again. But I was able to watch it full through the whole way the first time I saw it. So that's that. But Will Smith, like, I hope Netflix paid you a lot for this shit, because you need to go back to doing actual box office joints. Stay away from Netflix. Don't, because that didn't work out for you at all. Previous videos on the side, as well as my latest single. Check that out. Show us some love. And as always, Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, Instagram. Links in the description below. And subscribe. Button on the screen. Button below. Woolly Reviews twice a week. As well as the Cuphead gameplays. We just closed that out with the finale. Check that out. Also, Indie Spotlight. All the other good shit is below. Patreon. Show some love with that shit. And, you know, I got nothing more to say. So until next time I take my leave, Granddaughter, Bright. The movie wasn't too bright. It was. I had to turn off all the lights, and I should have just turned off the fucking screen. I mean, I gave it the respect to watch the whole thing, but not again. Not doing it again. Not at all. I'm out of here.